Yo, what's going on guys? Arekkz here, welcome back to another Anthem video, and in this one we are going to be taking an in-depth look at the Interceptor. The Interceptor is of course the fast, agile, nimble, assassin-like javelin. It is of course all about getting in very quickly, doing high burst damage, and then getting out before the enemy even realizes what's happened. It doesn't have a great deal of defense, so naturally speaking, you don't really want to sit there and try and face tank the enemy's attacks. It is of course the javelin we have also seen the least of up until this point. Very recently at Paris Games Week we saw some gameplay from the perspective of the Storm. However, thanks to some more footage that came out of Paris Games Week, courtesy of EA, I have a chance to show you guys an in-depth look at this javelin, taking a look at stuff we haven't seen before. We're going to talk about its customization options, its gadgets, its abilities, and also its ultimate. So if you guys do enjoy this, then a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think. If you guys haven't entered our Spider-Man PS4 Pro giveaway, don't forget to click that link in the description box down below to enter. And of course, if you guys don't want to miss any of our future Anthem content, then don't forget to click that notification button so you stay up to date every time we upload a new video. Now the Interceptor, as mentioned, is your fast, nimble, agile and acrobatic javelin. It looks very different to the other three. It almost looks kind of like a sport bike. It's got these very clean lines. It was initially designed to be a scout javelin by Corvus, who are the shadowy intelligence faction, although admittedly when we use it, it will be, for drastically different purposes. And when it comes to actually speaking about the Interceptor, while every single javelin is unique, they have their own unique abilities, they're very different in their own ways, they all follow a similar pattern when it comes to customization. Every javelin can equip two different weapons, i.e. guns. You also have a melee slot, and you also have different gear slots, typically 3, and within that you will have 2 essentially attack-focused gear items, plus you'll also have a support slot, and then finally you have your ultimate. So again, all the javelins are completely different, but that is kind of the framework that they all fit within. So in the case of the Interceptor, it can equip 2 weapons, and it can use pretty much all weapon types. The only weapon type it can't use are the heavy weapons because they are exclusive to the Colossus. So it can use some of the lighter weapons, SMGs, pistols, assault rifles, things like that, just not the big Megaton heavy ones. On the melee front, the Interceptor uses a pair of double-bladed daggers, and it uses these to deliver a multi-hit flurry of slashes. It can deal chain damage, and of course it can rack up powerful attacks, and you can essentially continue these combos indefinitely. So for those of you guys that do want to essentially embody the rogue, this is for you. Now, when it comes to actually speaking about the gear, your gear falls under 3 different slots. You have your assault slot, your strike slot, and your support slot. Under the assault slot, you have the following items. You have the Seeker Glaive, the Acid Bomb, the Cryo Glaive, the Cluster Mine, and the Spark Dash. Now do bear in mind the game is still in development. Some of these names could well change upon launch. They could add more things in, they could take things out. But as it currently exists, this is the list. Now bear in mind, during the Paris Games Week presentation, they didn't go into detail on every single one of these items, but some of them you can of course kind of assume what they will do. When it refers to a glaive in this list, what it basically means is you use your blades and you throw them out like shurikens. You can see in this clip here, you basically throw them out as these little projectiles, and you can then of course use your melee ability to essentially attack from range. And in the case of this one, the Seeker Glaive, these blades will actually home in on your target location. You also have a Cryo Glaive, and bear in mind that cryo is typically associated with freezing, then I'm going to assume that this is some sort of ice type projectile that can probably rack up and apply some sort of abnormal status so that you can then freeze your enemies. You have the Acid Bomb, which would, as you'd expect, upon explosion, basically spread an acid effect, and acid, we know in Anthem, deals damage over time. It's basically a tick damage, so if you throw it on your enemies, you can then do the initial explosion and you'll then follow up with damage over time. You have the Cluster Mine, which is pretty self-explanatory. It's a mine, it explodes into lots of smaller explosions. And you have the Spark Dash, which in truth they didn't speak too much about, but going by the name, it's probably some sort of dash ability where you sort of dash into enemies and attack them that way. However, you then have the Strike system, and this is where you actually use your body as your weapon. If you've seen any of those short clips, the Interceptor essentially spinning towards the enemies and effectively using their momentum and their motion as the attack, that is the Strike system. So under this, you have the Star Strike, the Plasma Strike, the Nova Strike, Tempest Strike, and the Corrosive Spray. Now again, they didn't go into great detail on all of these in the presentation, but they did explain that the strike system is where you use your body more so than your projectiles. So, you know, Star Strike may well be something like this, where you jump towards your enemy, you spin, and you use that momentum to dish out your damage. Looking across that list, we have a few potentially obvious options. You have the Tempest Strike, which could well be flame or fire oriented. You have the Corrosive Spray, which is again going to probably deal some kind of damage over time, similar to the Acid Bomb. And of course you have things like Nova Strike, Plasma Strike. Those are probably slightly more melee or raw damage focused. Moving on from there to the support system, you then have two options. You have the Target Beacon, which they didn't speak too much about, and you have the Rally Cry. The Rally Cry is a support ability whereby when you use it, it removes status effects that your team are affected by. So let's just say you're playing through and one of your team is poisoned, or maybe they've been slowed down. We don't necessarily know what all of the status effects and the debuffs are, but, you know, making a few assumptions, let's say they have something like that applied, use Rally Cry, and it will then cure them of those status effects. So it's a great way to support your team. You can use your mobility, you can dash in, say for example, someone's in a crowd and they are, you know, they're debuffed and you need to kind of get to them quickly. You can use your speed, get in, use Rally Cry, and then get back out. And then finally, on the ultimate ability, the name for this one is the Assassin's Blades. For this one, the Interceptor becomes supercharged, and they draw these two essentially kind of electric looking blades. I don't think it actually carries the element, but it's kind of one of the best ways to describe the actual look of it. They draw out these blades, and they can attack very, very fast and dash between enemies. As you can see here, they can go in, do these fast combos, take out their enemies, and dash straight to the next one. One of the things they did say during Paris Games Week is that despite the fact that the Interceptor is naturally quite weak on the defense front, it's not the sort of thing that you want to get in and take a lot of hits. They did say that when you activate this, you do gain increased defense, so it probably does allow you to play a little bit more recklessly if you do want to sort of dash in there, do some damage to, you know, a stronger, more elite enemy, maybe even a boss. Then you could probably afford to put yourself in harm's way a little bit more than you normally would. But of course, you definitely don't want to be there for too long once this expires. So draw out your blades, go in, go ham, and dish out some damage. So there you have it. That is a look at the Interceptor. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. It is a really, really cool javelin. Definitely one of the ones that I wanted to know a lot more about. And probably one of the ones that I will be using in-game. I think I am still a Colossus fanboy, but apart from that, it is still really cool. Anyway, for the time being, that's it. Be sure to keep it locked because I'll be doing more of these videos for the other classes. I've got a Storm one coming very soon, and I'll also be following up with the Colossus and the Rangers. So keep it locked for much more Anthem coverage. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to check out some more awesome stuff from us here at Arekkz Gaming, then you should definitely try to catch TwoSixNine and Paradise Central streaming 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. They play a wide range of games, and what's more, we also have the Endgame store. By watching their streams, you earn currency, and you can redeem that currency on the Endgame store for really cool prizes. Those can range from things like games, comics, and figures, all the way up to controllers, capture cards, and even consoles. So definitely drop by and become part of the community. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you're subscribed and be sure to click on that little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss our next upload. You can watch more videos by clicking on the options here. But once again, thanks very much for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.